Welcome back to the run-up. This morning we're being joined by Theophilus Akatuwa. He's a media consultant and a public affairs analyst. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you.
All right. Some schools of thought say that the whole back and forth between ASU and the federal government, is stemmed from a history of lack of proper funding for universities. Would you agree with this school of thought?
I agree with the school of thought that says that all this problem is because of lack of proper funding. But proper funding from a depressed economy, proper funding from an economy that is continuously traveling in the wrong direction because we have made wrong choices and wrong decisions. The country has led its citizens to live in a fool's paradise. And so every year we keep running into this problem with ASU and government. The history is replete with very bad history of long strikes, to the extent that the educational sector, especially the tertiary sector, has become somewhat a misfortune for the national progress. The people they've churn out poor quality citizens that are everywhere a liability to the country. We are not able to attract any foreign revenues in dollars by attracting students into our universities. Whereas we are talking about the millions of dollars that Nigerians spent in universities abroad. If strikes were so rampant in those universities, will you go there and send your children there? So I lived in Ghana for many years, and Ghana universities, majority, more than 50% of their revenue come from Nigeria. I was a student, I did a program at the Central University. Many Nigerian students were there. This is Ghana. The University of Ghana has entire three big hostels dedicated to foreign students, and Nigerians make up about 80% of them. So poor funding indeed. But the problem is, why hasn't ASU come up with a better way out if they are the people that educate the society, that forms our society? Every university should be more wealthy than a country.
Okay, when you talk about being more wealthy than the country, what do you really mean? Because
what I mean is that in every university, you have all the courses that make a nation to function. The university have health, they have the medical, the faculty of medicine, where they train doctors. They have everything, they do nursing, so they can run full-fledged hospitals and make revenue. They have the civil engineering department. All the buildings in the university can be built by their architect, by the engineering student. They have professors in all these fields. The same university have for management, marketing. Every course and every discipline that forms a society are there in the universities. And yet their buildings are dilapidated. They have people for furniture design, industrial design. They have no products. They have nothing they are selling. No research they are selling to anybody. A lot of the COVID-19 vaccines were discovered, were research discovered and by universities. Oxford University. Do you know how much will come to that university by the number of bottles of vaccines sold all over the world? The universities and the professors in there have no solution to improve funding so that they can be autonomous, pay themselves the real salaries they desire by creating wealth. And yet they want the same government that they have trained back people to go and populate to pay them better salaries. We live in a focused paradise in this place.
Okay, but some people say what is happening in the university is also like some of the things that are happening in the states, because the governors in the states go every month, cap in hand, collect money from the state government or the federal government, come back home, and they're lazy, they're not very innovative. So they're talking about federalism, they talk about autonomy of the state and the regions and all that. Do you also feel that the universities should be entirely independent, funding themselves, doing what they please, what they feel is good for themselves, without the interference of the government in any regard?
Thank you. Your question it has answered the question. Let me ask you, the attitude of going cap in hand to the federal, which we have so gotten used to, what is the outcome? Lazy states, unproductive states. Every state of the federation is supposed to be the employment center. The governors are not creating employment, but they are pointing fingers at the federal. Oh, the federal government, unemployment. Well, how can there be unemployment in a country where states are competing in productivity? If the states were employing people, then there would be no unemployment in Nigeria, because every state would be busy creating jobs, building wealth, producing products that are sold. We import virtually everything, and no one can see, no state. Some of the states these days have been trying. I hear of Ben Ayade talking about Indomie factory. I hear of him talking about the garment factory. This is the way to go. States must compete. The universities must be autonomous. They should all be quoted in the stock exchange. Let people buy shares. Let the lecturers and all the various departments be activated. Let them sell the knowledge they have. They have knowledge. They do research. Let them discover solutions to myriad of problems that are plaguing our societies. Sell their patents in nutrition and everything. They sell food recipes to eateries. KFC, Chicken Republic has been going on with one recipe. Chicken Republic should be introducing new recipes. We have in the catering and hotel management department, we have to create homegrown solution. And this can come from the universities. And they will sell all these ideas and they will make money. In South Africa, I was in South Africa, and they brought to me a recipe for juice, for fruit juice. The guy that presented that recipe to me, I asked him, what's your qualification? He said, BSc. BSc, and you've done? He said, yes. He showed me 3 products that are already in the market that his university is getting some patent from royalties, what do you call it? For every bottle that is sold, they get a cent. And imagine how many. How can our universities be broke, be poor, waiting only for federal government to keep giving them all the money, pay salaries, and design and make the... Meanwhile, all the profs are sitting there, and including the lecturers and the knowledgeable people, they are waiting to be paid a salary. And they say the salary is not enough. And they're sitting on gold mine, they are not utilizing it.
But this breakaway, can it just come on their own? Because there's no legislation that will give this kind of independence to the universities, just like the states that we use as analogy. There's no legislation towards that, and the Constitution does not allow that. So how can this breakaway come?
The next president must pursue this course of autonomous universities so that we can have universities that can stand and attract foreign revenue, the hard dollar, into this country. When you have foreign students coming to Nigeria, they are also going to serve as ambassadors. When they graduate, they will be saying that I went to school in Nigeria. A lot of the people that went to school in Nigeria have good feelings about Nigeria. I met a man in Gambia, and he was telling us how he came to school in the University of Ibadan. He had fond memories of Nigeria, unlike those who only know about Nigeria from the negative stories of the recent times. So if you have many people, a lot of Nigerians that went to school in Ghana, they only went to school in Ghana for 4 years, and they are very good memories. They are very good testimonies of Ghana. So if we bring in students into our country in various fields, they will go back and sell the Nigerian story. They will spend their foreign income, foreign exchange. That will improve our foreign exchange earning. They will also bring in interesting cultures and behaviors to civilize our people. So what is this? We're missing so much in every aspect of this country because we live in a fool's paradise where we have fictitious expectation, wrong expectation, yet we don't have contribution. We can't even contribute to the world academically by training people from all over the world. People are not coming here for exchange programs, because our universities are lazy and they are not productive, they are not creative.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Let us assume that we are in an egalitarian society where everything is working properly. Because, you know, I was going to ask you if there is a place for alternative funding, but of course you've mentioned all that. And that is, you know, we're even having this conversation in the first place because things aren't going the way it is supposed to be. This system that we had, going cap in hand to the federal government to get funding, it used to work before we got to the point where we are at now. My question is, what changed? How did we get to the point where the system that we had that was going on very well got deteriorated to the point where people are going on strike and staying almost up to a year at home?
Yes, it worked because the population was small, the number of schools were small, and the cost of running those schools were manageable, and the population of students were also small. And as time went on, our sources of income are drying up. You hear of the fact that, number one, the price of oil globally keep fluctuating. It came to ground zero during COVID. That is the revenue source the whole country depends on. When you look at the world today, you see that as much as it's easy at the beginning, as time, a man that has one wife and one child on a salary of 500,000, no, let's say 200,000. By the time the family grows to become 3 children, one wife plus an aged mother, you see that is 200,000 that look very good at the beginning becomes a poverty salary that perpetuates poverty. So you can see that we started well, but we couldn't continue because all the various expectations, our revenue continued to go down, and what we spend money on continue to increase in multiple dimensions. So we went wrong that way. But let me tell you, why did we do this? Well, Nigeria was a regional state. It was not like this. But after the Civil War, we thought that the best way...
I think the internet won't let us, is breaking. But he has made a couple of points that, you know, kind of drives it home already. Mr. Theophilus, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay,
all right,
please continue. We lost your audio at some point.
Yes, so what I'm saying is that we started, everything you start, they will look good at the beginning, but a great nation looks at the far future in designing and implementing systems and traditions. If anything you want to do is not going to endure, then you don't do it for a country. At the beginning, we were doing well when we were regional, when we were not sharing money from the center. You see the cocoa house, you see things that the West did, you see things that the East did, the North did. But when we became unitary, everybody started going to the center to take a share of what we have collectively gathered. And it has, for now, it's no longer working because the revenue has gone down, has decreased so badly. And the oil that we are relying on will soon be a thing of the past. You see policies that the whole world, the Europe, the Western world is looking for alternative energy, that fossil fuel is being taken out of the system, and Nigeria is still relying on that to share. The earlier we did something about it, the better for all of us. And so universities that are citadel of knowledge, the citadel of excellence, the citadel of progress, they are the people that have all the knowledge we need for development. They must lead the way in autonomy, in revenue generation.
But when we talk about universities, we are mostly referring to the public universities. And before now, people felt that if that sector is open to the private sector and they come in to invest, have their own universities, get their own curriculum and all that, things will be better for our education system. But some have argued that even that didn't help because these private universities do not go to the center to get funding, yet it's as if they are also operating with the same kind of system that the federal universities operate with, and we're not making any headway. So is it that the private sector has also failed, just like the government has?
You see, what is the problem with Nigerian private sector? The private sector is living in a fool's paradise. They are all living a subsidized life. If a university has set up itself and start buying diesel that is subsidized by government, is it not government funded somehow? If a university is exempted from various obligations, so they won't charge the right fees because they believe the diesel is subsidized by government. The point is this: we must build a society where we live the real life so that when we move out of this country, we will not be shocked about the reality of things. Number two, many of the private universities, they might not be doing well because they don't have the numbers in relation to their cost of operation. You know, there is a minimum number you must have for a school to be able to pay its bills if you are not subvented by government or any authority or any other source of income. You rely on your fees and all other little charges for the services that university renders. So the culture, who are the lecturers in those universities? A lot of them also came from the public universities, so they have the culture, a tradition of laziness. Every university should be autonomous. It has been proven abroad, and we borrow the template from them. Many universities abroad, out to look at their budget, you will be astonished. The kind of budget a university will push out and used to run. Most of it are more than many countries in Africa in terms of their budget. You know, so it's not impossible. A lot of these scientific breakthroughs you see coming from the West, they happen in the universities, in the powerful research centers. And every day you see them finding solutions to problems globally, even problems that have nothing to do with them. And they sell this solution at heavy prices, at high rates to fund their university. Our people tell you, I've gone to university abroad and they are giving me subsidy. Who is giving me what you call scholarship? Who told you they are giving you scholarship? It's a marketing strategy. They'll put their fees at $21,000 and tell you they give you 50%. But you're still coming to pay $11,000. But that $11,000, is there any university in Nigeria where you pay up to $11,000 per annum? Is there any university? Why is this so cheap? Why are we paying $120,000 for a university education per annum? And you expect, and you get the student, this same student graduates, and they go abroad and start working in institutions. So we have done well, but we have not funded the system enough to develop, to improve. The University of Ibadan is still ranked among universities in the world in spite of the quality that we're. So there is something there that if we give them the chance, they will do even as good as any university in the world. They should take the bite and stop this lazy expectation of government funding them. They should tell the government they want to go autonomous. Okay. They should insist on it. That's what I'm saying.
Let me pick out these points from a couple of things that you've said. You've mentioned a couple of ways that the universities can go autonomous on their own if they decide. You have also mentioned how that the system, not the government this time, the system in the schools and the universities has become really lazy, both on individual levels, I mean, with the lecturers and the system there and all.
So the students inclusive.
Yes. So who is really to blame? Is it the government or is it the school system? Because when you say they should tell the government that they want to go autonomous, that would raise a lot of debate. Another conversation on its own entirely is going to begin, which I personally would be very interested in, by the way. But then, do you think that they have it in them? I'm talking about the lecturers, students, people in the school system. Do you think they have the will to actually even want to go autonomous if it was offered to them?
In fact, I believe if this matter, first they might be afraid of it. Yes, that has become
okay.
Yes. The laziness that has become a culture. They might be afraid of it, but I've just been opening their minds to it. I'm just telling you, for example, civil engineering department. Why should any building, even an old one that needs to be maintained, why would they look for people from outside, artisans, illiterates, to come to the university to be building their buildings? Why would they let for carpentry, designs of furniture? Why would they let illiterates come and do that for them and pay them money, pay the university's revenue to pay? and they have students from 100 to 400 level studying this discipline, become a medical. Why don't they have outstanding hospitals on special areas that our people are traveling abroad for? Our people are traveling abroad for. Where is the university not saying, look, we have been doing cancer research. Now we have gone this far. For cancer patients, come to this university. We have found a solution. Do you think the university will not make money from all of these things? If you say we want to do a sparkling drink, you have the dietary. I don't know, is there any discipline? Just pick University of Lagos and look at all the courses, all the programs they offer.
Mr. Akatugwa. Okay.
Okay, I really hope that, you know, he gets back. I'm having a lot of fun having this conversation.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's easy to throw blames around. You know, it's easy to blame the federal government. You people are not funding us. It's easy for the federal government to blame the universities. You people are not doing enough. But then when you bring it home to the point of individuals who are, because there are no systems without persons. I mean, we are the system.
We are the system,
so that's why I asked him that question. Who is to blame? Even if the federal government comes today and says, okay, take free hand, do whatever you want, do they have it in them to take it up?
And I don't know whether it's a matter of law or it's also the thing they call the system. When people talk about the system, sometimes it's really scary how that system ropes you in and swallows you, as it were. Okay, I remember a certain professor in Nigeria in the, was it early 90s or so, who said he had come up with a solution to the HIV scourge. He was shot down. Who shot him down? I will say the system. There was also a story of an inventor who invented the yam pounder. Among the very first people who did that. I don't know whether someone else did that, but in Nigeria he was the first who did that and was looking for a patent for that. He was shot down. He went away and sold the yam pounder patent, or the whatever they call it, elsewhere. And the country that bought it now started producing it and bringing it back to Nigeria to sell. You see how intriguing, how complicated the system is. Because there are certain things you need to do, no matter how bright you may be. There are certain people who have to nod, certain agencies that have to give you a nod. There are certain, you know, signatures that have to go on.
Theophilus is back.
Okay.
Can you hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right. Please go ahead.
Yeah, you see, I blame the government that have continued a wrong practice. University education is not for everybody, like we are erroneously, you know, doing. We believe everybody should be in the university. University is not for, because of poor investment in secondary education. That's why we're all paying attention. So university has become a glorified secondary school. If it was a proper tertiary education, not everyone goes there. Even in the West, where we borrow from, in UK, in America. Look, there you put. Why did you do in America? These countries, after their their secondary school levels, people are able to get by. Technical education. The university is for top brains, and you pay to go there. You pay because you want to go to an advanced form of education. But here we are everybody's pouring into university because it's so cheap. It's even cheaper than secondary school. There are many people that went to secondary schools where they pay primary and secondary school, where they pay 300,000, 400,000, 500,000, and they get into public schools and pay 120. A university. You know, we ridicule, we trivialize, and government is to be blamed because they have perpetuated this wrong culture of sharing the Nigerian commonwealth to everybody. So in their mind, one way is to make university cheap so that the children of everybody from the north, from the south, can get into university at government expense. Just imagine the load the federal government is carrying, a load that state governments are carrying, heavy load, and everybody is dragging the same government with lean resources. Everybody wants better condition of salaries. Politicians are promising you a better life when they do not know where the revenue will come from. Everyone is waiting for promise. No one is building, creating wealth. And our universities that are supposed to be the center for wealth creation are the poorest.
But you see, some of these problems may not, I don't know how to put this, but okay, let's see. If you say universities are now glorified secondary schools because everybody's rushing to the university, there's also another reason why people are rushing there. It's just not because it's cheap, but because the system which we are blaming this morning has also made it such that if you go to a polytechnic, you are like second class. If you go to a college of education, you are like third class. In Nigeria, we talk papers. Whether they are adding value or not, we talk papers. And this is not the fault of the university. It's the fault of a system we found ourselves. The government or whatever document came up to make sure that there's disparity between even an HND holder and a degree holder and so many other societal things that come into play will make everybody rush to the university, whether you have the money or not. So you want to go there. So how do we deal with all these other things that put pressure on the university system and what you are calling a burden on the federal government? How do we deal with them?
Yeah, you deal with it by living a real life. When I say living the reality, I know that the government and all of us have made all the mistakes, that we are making, and that's why I say we live in a fool's paradise. And we don't understand what we should have done with all the educational systems that are created. The polytechnic has its purpose, The university has its purpose in its.
I wonder why we keep getting these gaps, but it's really an interesting conversation, because once you begin to point fingers at the next party, a lot of things will start coming out. So maybe we'll just play the devil's advocate and try to say, okay, we're on the side of university or we're on the side of government, all that. But the bottom line is we collectively, because like you said, we are the system, we collectively are toying with our future. Because if we don't get to do the right things at the right time, it will always come back to haunt us. And for every individual, like in my place, they say, whatever you possess in this world will never be greater than your name, because it's your name that you will leave. It is your name that will be remembered, nothing else. So do we even try to build a culture of patriotism, a culture that people will try to think about legacies that they will leave behind?
I'm hoping that is where Mr. Kachuba is driving at. He's back. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. It's in the morning, so many people want to reach me.
Oh, okay.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so if you look at it, you must begin to see. That's why I said, if ASU has been going on strike for many years, and every year, every government, they go on strike, sometimes drag into many months. Don't you think that they are supposed to be the academics? Are they not? We call them the citadel of knowledge. Every lawyer trained in a university, every engineer trained in a university, every doctor trained. You mean those people can't sit in a room and say, let's approach our government with a new idea? After all, we are the creator of society. We are the ones that formed the president. We trained him. He went to our university. So is there anyone in the corridors of power who didn't pass through a university if he had gone to the highest peak of academics? All the professors that are in the university, can't they sit down and say, what is the way? How is education run in other countries where we also go and pride ourselves as professors? Can't we find a lasting, sustainable solution? And obviously, it's when the universities are autonomous and they find their revenue and they pay themselves well.
Okay, Mr. Katuba.
Yes.
Like I said before you came back on, like sometimes let's just play the devil's advocate. Let's take a situation where these lecturers, these ASU eggheads as we call them, people from the citadel of knowledge, they will sit down with someone they trained, because like you said, every professor, every person who is knowledgeable went to that university or went to school at least. Well, they will sit down with someone who should either be part of them or who they're trained. And then they're negotiating for whatever they're talking about. And the person tells them that we cannot do that. You must do what we say. And he holds all the aces. So in a situation like this, how do you get these professors to do the right thing? How can you talk to someone who doesn't want to be talked to, or who feels that they have too much power in their hands and they can talk down at you and tell you what you have to do? Is it possible to make things happen in a situation where you might be learned, but someone else has the power and is not ready to compromise? That might be the dilemma that they are having right now.
No, if that is the dilemma, then it's also that they have not deployed their knowledge. They say they have psychology department, they have sociology department. They don't have professors that can go and crack a difficult person in negotiation. They say they train people in negotiation, international relations, diplomacy. Don't they have those departments, those profs to deploy those knowledge? Because in everything is negotiation. There is nothing in this world that negotiation and continuous pressure and discussion. Superior knowledge has won all argument. They have everything and they are not using them. They have the legal department, the biggest negotiators in this country, the biggest conflict resolvers in this country. They are from universities, priding with the certificates. So if a man is not understanding your concept, then you find solution, because you are the citadel. You are the highest peak of knowledge, excellence. Everything you teach us is what the society runs with. So if you have an obstacle in the course of trying to achieve a national good, those who create the obstacles were once your students. They have many people who were their lecturers in your midst, who were also professors who presided over them while they were in school. You mean they also will not have a reasoning conversation with such people? The truth is that they don't want to do that. It is easier to wait for government money and pay salaries and pay all the fees and allowances, retire on the same system that is going broke, and many retirees are not getting their salaries because the system is lean continuously. We are not building the cake. The cake is not bigger. And everybody is pressurizing the same system. Right. The same government is subsidizing petrol, subsidizing life, subsidizing education, subsidizing healthcare in all the teaching hospitals across the country. Same government. And nobody is bothering to ask, is the resources of the government unlimited?
But the government is not also asking, can we continue like this? Can't we just hands off some of these things? They seem to be comfortable.
Because it is political expediency. Politicians will always do things to make them retain power. If these politicians is failing, will the citizens not build their country? Because the country owned by politicians. People say, oh, pay us whatever they are asking for. After all, you gave Niger cars. You bought cars, you bought vehicles for Niger as a one-off international gesture. Can that be compared to a salary that is recurrent? So you see, even educated people make this argument because it's politically expedient. You don't play politics with education. You don't play politics with health. You don't play politics with security, because we are all in it. And the shame of the Nigerian university is a disgrace to all of us. Where if we get to a stage where you brandish Nigerian certificate from a University of Nigeria, they will tell you it's rubbish. You guys are low quality people. That will be the end of all time. So before it gets there, we have to do something, you know. We have to do something. The universities must be funded. They must charge the right fees. And government can help their citizens by creating student loans, scholarship schemes to encourage brilliance. There are many ways to intervene when universities take the right fees. You can even, corporate bodies can institute scholarship for areas. For example, people who, the oil sector can institute scholarship for petroleum engineering, geologists, and etc., etc. Those pharmaceutical companies can institute scholarship for brilliant pharmaceutical students. Look, this thing is just, I can't believe that in 2022, we are bedeviled with our universities going on daily strikes on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and every government have its own history of strike, of that organization, of ASU and lecturers. We've got to bring it to an end. It's not good. It's so debilitating. It destroys the confidence of our children, of all those who attend those schools. You enter university, you don't know your graduation date. You know, do you know the meaning of that? It's traumatic.
Just before we round up, because we're approaching the end of this segment, just before the interruption that we had earlier, Nyamgul had mentioned the disparity that we have between people who went to universities, state universities, polytechnics, federal universities, and people are placed in different classes. And you were going ahead to mention that these different institutions have different purposes. Do you think you can go down that lane just for a bit before we round up?
Yes. Because every school, it's only in Nigeria that we are always trying to have status as the only thing we bank on. I didn't go to a university, but I went to a polytechnic. The word polytechnic is a higher form of technical education. It means that I deal those who went to technical secondary school, and I am their higher form. So I'm not in a contest with a university. Universities are for research and higher knowledge. In every company, there are people who are the engineers, the hands-on technical people, while there are people who do the brain work, who do the research, who do the forward thinking. These things, they work together. In Nigeria, even Polytechnic, they are doing marketing courses. Polytechnic are doing commercial courses. That's not what they are. Because of this problem, universities are even coming down to struggle with the same things that Polytechnic are doing. You know, we need to know what they are meant for. The 63334 system was designed so that you identify the children and put them in their right places. That the university is not a compulsion. It's an advanced form of education for thinkers. Not everybody thinks. Some are hands-on. They are very technically savvy. So Nigeria is just, we're trying, this status thing. I went to a university. I have a lot of them who can't write their names. I have a lot of them. They can't put a report together. I have a lot of them. They can't think through on any subject. Thinking is one of their weakness. And you said you graduated from a university. University is for thinkers. Though they want, society have thinkers and doers. Doers implement what the thinkers do. But Nigeria is just like all in one basket. I have when I live in Ghana, I have a guy who used to be my electrician. Let me tell you, that man, he was so good at his job, but when I asked him what, he said he went to a technical school. Such a person is valuable for industries, invaluable to PHCN, but he will not be in the office where the bigger decisions are taken, but he will make sure that electricity systems are well wired and the place functions. Why is Ghana having stable electricity? Because you see the way they wire and they finish the wiring on the street. It's so clean, and they are all technical guys, technical people, not university graduates. But here, you have them very rough, and today transformer is blown off. We break the same rules that we have learned because we are not properly educated and we don't implement the education.
Okay, so Mr. Akatugwa,
the discriminatory practices is because of ignorance. It's called discrimination of different educational certification is as a result of ignorance. Ignorance by educated people also living ignorantly.
Mr. Akatugwa, let's assume that you have won an election in PlusTV today, and you are made president today. If you're made president today, what will be the steps you will take to correct these? Just a final thing before we go. What are the steps you will take to correct all these things that we are talking about? Because like we were talking yesterday with a security expert and among ourselves, it was that if you're going on to a negotiating table, you don't make any of the parties look like a fool. So what are the steps you're going to take so that the government doesn't feel guilty, the school system doesn't feel guilty, but it is the right thing to do for our educational system to change for the better? Just give us an outline.
The first thing I'll do is to identify, first of all, what is really the critical problem we have. First, we are suffering from massive lack of jobs, and there's this idea that a lot of the people we have are unemployable. And so we now have to go straight for skills. So I will empower the university, the polytechnic, and empower the technical schools and the secondary schools, to the extent that when you graduate from secondary school, you should start at the lowest entry level of any organization. You can be a bank teller, you can work with secondary school certificates. It should be so good the way it used to be, that a secondary school graduate is able to start life. The technical people, they will be priced higher than university graduates in the employment sphere. That's what happened even in the UK. Many of them will tell you when they finish, they don't divert to technical school, they start their life, and they are artisans. They earn good money. The mechanic will spend an hour on your car and take £100. You know, $100 per hour to take care of your car. A university graduate comes and takes his regular job. They work in policy, they work in, but the technical people, they get the buy. Go to Germany, they are the backbone of industrialization. So I'll pay attention to that area, and that will reduce the quest for university automatically, because if a technical guy gets more pay, because of what they do, what they contribute, they work in the real sector, they make the machines move, they make the things, they make the designs, they ensure that industries function. Today, we have a lack of all these people. If you want an electrician today, the best you can get is an apprentice electrician around town. The number of artisanal electricians have reduced, mechanics are reducing, apprenticeship is going out of fashion. So build the technical schools and then increase the fee paid at the university. Privatize the universities, let them go as businesses and charge the right fees. Create systems, what you call scholarship loan scheme for students who will pay, take loan and go to whatever kind of school they want to go. The brilliant ones will get scholarship. That is the way I'll do it, to change the way we see the educational system and give the university all their freedom to pay whatever they want to pay. Never will we hear strike again, and foreigners will start coming to Nigeria to go to university.
All right, Mr. Akakwa, we've had a marathon one. We were hoping to get like 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops. Here we are, just running it, and it's been interesting, and we wish that it never stopped. But this is how far we can go talking with you today. It's always a pleasure having you on the show, and we'd like to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Akatuba raised a lot of things just before we wrap up. It's important that we begin to recognize quality rather than quantity. Because, okay, if I'm going to a polytechnic and I know that if two of us are looking for a job, another person is a university or degree holder, and I'm HND holder, even though I know the job more than him, he will have a bigger position and a bigger pay. I will go to university. So, yes.
You know, he mentioned how that it's a place of ignorance, because these different institutions were created for different purposes, actually. And, you know, nobody should be downtrodden because of the institution that they graduate from. But these are the many issues that we could never exhaust.
Yeah, we can't. We can't. You go to a college of education, you are a trained teacher, a teacher that teaches other people to teach. And you know, the society can never do without a teacher. And then you're like third class, they pay you less. I mean, our problems plenty.
It is still the run-up. I hope you've been having as much fun as we have. We're going on a quick break. The news will come up at 12, and when we return, we will keep having even more interesting conversations. Do not go anywhere. Stay with us.